Hi, welcome to today's presentation. We will get started in just a few minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and putting your name and student ID number in a chat to me or to Van Dong, we will make sure that you get credit for attending this presentation today, and we'll get started in just a minute. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for being here today. My name is Emily Kane Dombrowski, and I am the Associate Director for Employer Partnerships here at the Center for Career Development. And we are so excited today to have Serco here to talk about a really important topic around technology and innovation. We're excited to hear from this employer, who's one of our strongest partners and sponsors here in the Center for Career Development, about what's going on in the cutting edge of their industry. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to share your name and student ID in the chat to myself or Van Dong, so that we can track your attendance and make sure that we give you credit for being here on MU Engage. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Don Steyer to start off the presentation.
Thank you very much. Don Steyer here from Serco, and today we're going to talk about how we're transforming the delivery of our professional services. So make sure everybody can see my screen okay. I'd like to also introduce Nathaniel Palmer, who's the Director of our Solution Architecture here at Serco. I'm the Director of Analytics and Technology Solutions. And what you're going to see is Serco is really embarked on a journey, a digital transformation journey, to improve the way we deliver our professional services. And so to do that requires a lot of technology, a lot of innovation, and a lot of ways on how to rethink different problems in different ways. New problems. This is something that our CEO, Dave DeQuino, is incredibly invested in. And as you can see here by his direct quote, that our clients, traditionally the federal government, federal, state, and local, both here in the United States and Canada, the change of pace and technology and digital solutions has become incredibly overwhelming. And there's a big perceived risk out there with our clients on how to introduce that technology. And so it's really kind of on us as Serco to embed technology in a meaningful way, so that it paces the needs of our client, but also helps them achieve their goals better, faster, and cheaper. When we talk about digital solutions, next generation technologies, where I like to start is really about digital transformation, which is, and I'm not a big person to read slides, but in this case I will, making fundamental changes to operations through the adoption of digital technologies to create new or replace existing processes and customer experiences. Reimagining operations in the digital age is digital transformation. And that's really the crux of innovation. How do we reimagine how we deliver to our clients, how we produce new ideas and new concepts such that we can be more streamlined, more efficient, help our clients make better decisions. That really comes down to four things. And you hear a lot, I'm an MBA by trade, but you hear a lot about people, process, and technology. And so it's the people who do the work, it's the processes they follow, it's the technology that enables them to do the work. And legacy technologies tended to bring a solution and then try to shove the process and the people into it. But there's a piece that glues it all together, and that's the culture of the organization, the culture of your customers, the culture of the industry in general. So people, process, and technology glued together by culture, those four things have to be looked and balanced out. When you talk about what we're doing here at Serco, we made some recent acquisitions and we started looking around, and these are the types of technologies or capabilities that we're bringing to bear that are supercharged by pieces of technology that I'll talk about in a second. But intelligent automation, things like dynamic work assignment. Nathaniel is going to talk a lot about that and what we've done with the CMS program just here in a moment. How do we use robots, robotic process automation, matched with humans to produce high quality output faster so that we can let humans do what humans do best, which is make decisions. Dynamic resource management. It's all about how do we better inventory our assets, our facilities, how our workforces are aligned. Nobody foresaw COVID coming. It changed the dynamic and everybody had to react instead of respond. So the ways that we use technology and distributed data collection to better understand how to align and optimize our resources are really important. You get into cloud engineering, as you guys, as IT students know, everything's moving to the cloud or some type of hybrid environment. So how do you architect that zero trust to bring in the next bottom line area down there in cybersecurity, which is a very hot topic inside the federal government, but also writ large through the industry when you start talking about risk management frameworks and how do we protect our technologies and our infrastructure such that we can monitor and respond in an appropriate way. Autonomous operations, unmanned systems, how do they integrate with manned systems? How do we engineer those so that they're safe? And then advanced analytics, which is kind of a catch-all bucket, but really important on how do we tee up information in a visual way, using business intelligence, how do we look at data so that we can do predictive and prescriptive analytics and cognitive analytics. So these are the areas that are as we like to say, the capabilities that we're producing. And we use these, and as our clients have issues, we grab what we need and we tailor a solution based on what's in all these different buckets. So those are basically the verticals. So if I look at the horizontals, what are all the technologies and tools and techniques we're using that enable us to deliver those? And those are really around data modeling, advanced analytics, text and image video processing, human-centered design, and then how do we deploy that in an operational way? So as you can see there, this is all about artificial intelligence. Well, let me back up. When you go to the data modeling piece, it's all about wrangling, storage, and governance. Governance is a huge topic right now. How do we understand the data? Do we understand the validity of the data? How do we protect the data? What data we use? What data don't we use? A lot of our clients right now, they're drowning in data and they're starving for knowledge because they've just collected so much of it over the years. They just don't know what to do with it. So how do we wrangle that and pull out what we need to do the analytics? We look at advanced analytics. It's modeling, simulation, optimization, strategic tactics, traditional data science type things, but really, really important as we mold that back into the data modeling. The text and image and video processing, natural language processing, the ability to go out and look at unstructured documentation such that we can automate the collection and storage of that data, and then do entity extraction and categorization. Really kind of helps the human, again, interface. We had a client, it was kind of fun. He said, hey, look, we have 10 years of studies that we've done, thousands and thousands and thousands of documents. Which ones do I read? I have no idea. He just wanted to sit back in the chair and plug into the net, using a matrix reference. So the concept of being able to point a tool, we have a tool called Tech Tracker, at a big pile of documentation and data that's unstructured, run that through a natural language processing set of algorithms, bring that through a machine learning set of algorithms so that you can do entity extraction, categorization, and then using a good human-centered design interface so that you can start asking questions of that data and narrow down into the various documents that you actually needed to read, to distill it from several thousand down to just a handful. Human-centered design, I'm going to leave that one for Nathaniel, who's going to talk about that a lot as we go forward. But how do we keep the human in the loop and on the loop? Because it's really, really important. A lot of times our clients as we're doing artificial intelligence and machine learning, they don't want it because they don't believe it, they don't understand it. And so how do we then make that human-centered design so that it's understandable? They know what's happening behind the curtain, so to speak. And they know why they're getting the answers that they're getting. And then the operational deployment. How do we deliver? Do we deliver in a traditional way? Do we use older agile techniques? Do we use lean agile techniques? Do we use micro development techniques? And each time it changes, but these are all the things that we use to produce all the capabilities that I talked about on the previous slide. Here's one example of how we deploy our technologies. So from a very lean development model, we call this a micro development, or it's a DevOps type concept. We call it a development consulting concept, just to give it a term. A lot of times what needs to happen for our clients is they need answers quickly. So how do I build small pieces of technology or tool sets or applications that enable my project team, my domain experts, and my analysts working with our clients to gather the data faster, be able to distill it faster, tee it up so that they can start looking for hidden trends, and answers to what our clients are trying to get to. We need to do that much faster. And I'll show you an example in a minute. So we're really pushing to use smaller pieces of technology to get a minimum viable prototype out there within 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and at the longest, such that then our clients and projects teams have stuff to work with. And then once they have that to work with, then they can guide the development as they ask the next set of questions or need the next set of capability, and we can keep bolting that on over time. But this is a very lean, agile philosophy. A lot of waterfall philosophies are very slow, but they have their place. Some agile philosophies work off of, build it and then keep what you need and throw away the rest. In our industry, it's very difficult to do that because it's expensive, and to throw away the rest kind of philosophy. It also makes us too slow. The decisions that need to be made or generally need to be made very quickly. So let's build small pieces and then build on that so we have less to throw away, so to speak. When you talk about, we like to tell our stories in terms of use cases. So in this case, this was the F-15 Saudi F-15 is an Air Force jet, and Saudi Arabia came in and did a foreign military sale, and they bought $29.4 billion program. It's the largest program in the Air Force history of selling to a foreign government. And it comes with a lot of complicated areas. They build these things like mini projects called cases. There was 300 or 400 of those. And they were trying to manage this on PowerPoint and some old financial databases. And the program manager trying to manage this, it's taken days, weeks, months, if not years, to get it, or days, weeks, months, if not quarters or so, to get answers to financial questions, answers to schedule questions. As they were moving through the program, they were getting to the point where they were delivering aircraft to the Saudis, and critical decisions needed to be made quickly. So they had tried, not succeeded several times to do this a little bit more lean, a little bit better, bring the data together. We came in and we used exactly the model I just talked about. We asked what questions they were trying to answer. We whiteboarded a solution. with them. We grabbed their data. We ran it through some data science routines, did natural language processing and machine learning extraction to take financial data out of PDF documents, put it into a database, and then use a modern business intelligence application and some forecasting techniques to tee it back up within 3 weeks. And within that 3 weeks, that was the base prototype that we got out. We had moved from a situation where the program manager was trying to manage through an extensive network of people and artifacts to being able to manage at least the financials from his desktop. And so over time, more capabilities were added, but that core capability happened within 3 weeks. And that's the environment that the world's moving into, is how do I get those answers back out better, faster, and cheaper? At this point, I'm going to turn it over to to Nathaniel Palmer, who runs our Center for Medicaid, Medicare, Affordable Care Act work. I'll take it over from here.
Thanks, Don. And indeed, this is where I've spent my day job over the past 7 years, working on the Affordable Care Act, or what's informally known as Obamacare, for CMS, our customer. And it's been the best example in my career and the best illustration I've had at Serco of really how Serco affords opportunities to, for me, really do whatever I want. And not in a flip way, but I've been able to explore new disciplines and areas of innovation that has allowed me to do more than I ever thought possible, while also adding value to our customer. I'm actually going to come back to this specific slide. I want to skip ahead to the next slide, talk a little bit more about digital transformation and what it means to me, and what I think it means in general, and that it is much more about changing of behavior than it is just about the technology. And if you think about what Don had as he was showing the people process technology, but with that center critical component of culture, that behavior and culture is behavior is culture in the large. And we have this unique opportunity in our lifetimes to take two snapshots at an important event that happened twice in very close succession, and to see how how culture, behavior, how things have changed with digital transformation. So the first scene is 2005, St. Peter's Square, outside of the Vatican. And if you don't remember what happened then, everybody was anxiously awaiting the announcement of the new Pope. And so they gathered, if you recall, that different color smoke would be released to determine if the Pope was picked yet or not. And everybody was anxiously awaiting to see who is the new Pope going to be. Now, why this is such a valuable lens to understand digital transformation is that, unlike any other generation, we had two popes announced in the same way, a crowd gathering in St. Peter's Square, in very close proximity. So the next one was in 2013. So if we look at the next slide and see, how does this crowd differ from 2005 to 2013? And you can see the incredible transformation that we've gone through. What happened in between? Well, in 2007, the iPhone was invented. And now, today, but certainly in 2013 even, we see the world through the lens of this new device that we keep with us. It's fundamentally changed our behavior. I'm sure there were cameras back then, and well, obviously in 2005 there are cameras. I'm sure there were cameras in that crowd, but it was not the same thing. You didn't have the relationship with your camera that you have today with this phone that you now carry with you. And technology did make the difference to change that behavior. Steve Jobs' insistence on including in a phone accelerometers and gyrometers and things that had no business being in a phone. What would you need that for to make phone calls? Because the iPhone wasn't a phone. It was a new device that we didn't have a name for. And if you saw the launch, or if you go, and it's fun to watch, if you go on YouTube and pull up the actual launch of it, when he presented it to Macworld, and he was the consummate showman, and he brought so much excitement to technology, because to him, he understood it was about that change in behavior and change in culture, and it really did change the world. If we look at the next slide, this is a quote that you may have come across. It made it into everybody's presentation over the last several years when you're talking about digital transformation and you know, how different the world is today as a result, ultimately, of the iPhone. The quote here is talking about the notion of the customer interface and talking about examples like Uber, which being the world's largest taxi company, but owns no vehicles. That's because it's not a taxi company. Uber describes itself, and very carefully, as a platform, because they don't have employees that drive cars. They have employees that build technology. They have employees that worry about how do they create the best consumer experience. But what they've provided is what they call a platform, what I would call a marketplace. They're bringing together buyers, people looking for a ride, and sellers, drivers, and allowing them to facilitate that interaction. Facebook is doing that in a similar way, but to the point here, Facebook's not about creating content. All the content in Facebook is created by somebody else. It's providing that platform. So part of digital transformation is that shift to now the fast-growing and most influential companies not being in the business of creating what is that which is attracting their use. They're creating the platform for it. And the notion of the interface has become so critical to understanding the impact of technology on business and on our lives. We go to the next slide. A quote that I borrowed from a colleague of mine and adapted over the years. Well, actually, before we get a point, to illustrate this notion of the interface and rethinking what the interface really is, looking at smart speakers. So when you call out you say, hey Siri, or hey Google, or more commonly, in what I do, actually Siri's now trying to answer me. Don't need you now, right, Siri? When you say, hey Alexa, the device is only a passive player there. That's not the interface. The device is just allowing you to project your voice into a system. So now you're talking with an AI-enabled entity that happens to be keeping a record for you, that of you and for you, but more of you than for you. Alexa is capturing information about you, ultimately to serve you, but it's providing an interface for you to do things. And that, so looking at the next slide, the point where I was going, this notion of the interface has fundamentally changed. Goodwin, the writer that I quoted before, talked about those companies as being the interface, as Uber is a company that provides the interface and competes on the basis of providing the interface. But ultimately, it is a company that understands being able to separate the way that we used to build systems. And for those that studied programming, I bet you're still learning about and probably in a big way about the MVC, the model view controller paradigm. Sorry, Jerry's trying to participate in the conversation. The MVC notion is how we've built software over the last couple of decades. And it's very much focused on the interface and interaction with the interface. Digital transformation has changed that in ways that we haven't always caught up with in software development. But we're seeing a shift now where it used to be that technology was built for particular purposes, came out of work that like what we do with the government, or came out of other business areas, and then made its way into shaping and changing the consumer market. Now, the consumer market, technology made for the consumer market, and the changes in expectations and culture and behavior that's happening in that consumer market, that's changing how we build business systems. And this notion around digital transformation and intelligent automation of moving away from the way that we used to build systems following the model viewer controller notion, where you have this very tight coupling of the interface, to thinking that we're building systems to perform particular functions, but we're moving the interface as being the defining part of that. in the way that now things that we do in our personal lives, basic notions, swiping. There was a while at the beginning stage of the iPhone and the iPad where we recognized that gestures now became a critical user interaction, yet we didn't build systems that accounted for gestures. Digital transformation requires rethinking the way that work is done, ultimately not having the system be built around prescribing or defining a particular way that work is performed. And in a bigger sense, removing the distinction of the work that's getting done and who's doing that work. When I first joined Serco, my job was to redesign our systems that support the work that we get paid to perform for the government. Over time, I evolved that focus to build systems to do the work, facilitating interaction with workers, but removing that distinction about who performs the work themselves. And I'm focusing on that because there's a key aspect to that defines what I've been doing at Serco and the things that we've been able to accomplish as a team. When I joined Serco, those things that I described in the beginning, the iPhone had been introduced, that notion, the changing in the world of the broader sense of digital transformation because of the iPhone kind of being the catalyst for that, but all the change that was taking place, that was already underway. And I thought a lot, and I've had the opportunity in my career to be in a position to think about what's coming next. How can I anticipate that? And at that moment, when I joined, I joined in 2015, or around 2013 to 2015, I started to see and think about robotics being the next big thing. And the notion of having robots working with people, which still sounds far out, maybe even creepy, but realizing that was going to be the next major transformation. And when I joined, I had a conversation with our CIO, who I believe actually is sitting and watching this. I talked about robots in that, and I still wonder what he thought about with that. But I saw robots as the next thing coming. And over the last few years, that is exactly how we've transformed the work that we do. And it's not having robots replacing work doing people per se. It is doing that. Ultimately, the robots we have do the work that would otherwise be done by human beings. But it's not simply to have a lower cost worker or more efficient work. It's to be able to do things for consumers, for our customer, and within our own workforce that we wouldn't be able to do, having them working together. So that shift from building systems to support our workers to building systems that accomplish work, and then allowing for robots to be able to participate in that. I'll show you what that looks like for us on the next slide, and a lot of the things that I've been able to explore in my own career. Here, if we can go to the next slide. The first thing that we did was focus on being able to figure out how to remove the complexity of work that we otherwise have to train our workers to do, and start to describe that in models, to be able to have both process models and decision models, so models which actually represent how we determine what we do. So, and there's two standards for this. If I was entering, early in my career and entering the technology space, I would look at both of these. I would look at the second one more carefully, but the first part, the type of technology that we used, really manages the work, but it doesn't tell us how to do that work. The standard around that is BPMN. We use a low-code development platform called Appian, a company that's not too far away from your campus there at the intersection of 495 and the tollway. and that they happen to be one of the leading edge companies in this space, and have built their technology on the standard of BPMN. So we use BPMN to describe the way that work should flow, but not how that work is done. And when I joined, we spent a lot of time training our workers to follow instructions and to figure out, when you get to this moment, look at this information, and then these are the decisions you should be making. So ultimately what we were able to do is, using a decision modeling language, DMN, decision model notation, is the standard for that language and for decision models. We're able to take those moments that otherwise require training and a lot of what we call work instructions, put that into something that actually could be understood by our systems. Now we can allow robots to participate in that work. So our next step was actually building not just robots that do a pre-described function, but a robotic workforce that can log into our system, do the work just like, and sitting side by side with our workers, performing that work, and freeing up our workers to work on other things. So if we look at the next slide, we can show some of the results of that, ultimately, which may not be that exciting for the outside party, but what we've been able to do is allow a lot of the work that required human beings to be performed by robots, allowing humans to do the higher value work. So we were able, for the same cost of our, or in many cases less, we're able to do more, and to have the work that our human beings workers focus on be that which really requires what a brain can do, being able to make subjective decisions and apply know-how, rather than just doing data processing and doing the things that the workforce did before that. So that has fundamentally changed what we do for our customer. It's changed what we offer to consumers and to what their experience is. We have millions of individuals seeking healthcare. Our job is to make sure that they get it. And there's lots of what we call data matching issues and other factors which are preventing them from being able to participate in the ACA program. Our job is adjudicating that. It's removing those issues. And now we have a robotic workforce that supports our human workforce. And that's a lot of what Don was talking about as well, is how we use technology as a leverage point, as an extension. We're augmenting our capability by leveraging technology. Wrap up on the next two slides. The next one, just talking about the program. I said I would come back to it. And again, if you look at what are this list, some of the milestones and achievements that we've done, we now have robots doing the work, performing thousands and in some cases millions of tasks in ways that are faster, more accurate, and more efficient, but freeing up our human workforce to then do the higher value, what we call high touch work. The last slide, just talking about the types of people that we are looking for at Serco and the roles, what really any company in this space should be looking for as well. Don had mentioned human-centered design. The funny thing about robots, the technical discipline that you need to build a robotic workforce is much more centered or dependent on human-centered design than it is around traditional programming. The programming capabilities it's there. When we say robots, we're not talking about mechanical machines. We're talking about code. It's coding, and it's using a higher level language that what we call a low code development environment. But understanding how to make robots work rather than just automating things on a discrete basis, actually allowing for a software robot to log into the system to look at the screens the way that our workers would, to be able to actually perform work that way, that requires human-centered design thinking. There's a lot of understanding of the integration between technology and business. What I describe as tech biz integrated analysts, individuals that can have a conversation with our business stakeholders and business leaders, and then understand how that then would translate into technical capabilities. In addition to that, being able to take that understanding, or even to participate in a scrum team and work with somebody that really gets that, is able to make that integration between the business and technology, then quickly turn it into something that shows a proof of concept, being able to build a rapid prototype. Generally using, you could use Java, but also use Python or R or other low-code development tools like Appian. And a lot of those tools ultimately involve, in fact, all of those languages, but in particular Python, R, and the LCD low-code development environments really require a model-driven understanding, and requires a skill set to build models, whether that's creating algorithms and building mathematical models, or it's actually taking things like decisions and processes and being able to, using a modeling tool, turn that into a meaningful picture that can then be translated into an actual system. And lastly, requirements analysts. I've never seen enough requirements analysts in any organization. This is a skill set that is both career insurance and a lifelong journey of learning and developing the discipline. The ability to understand what technical capabilities meet business requirements. So understanding not just being, and if you look at requirements analysis as a function, you see a lot of the focus on expressing it as user stories, as things that can then be interpreted by technical analysts. The real value is understanding it a little bit further down the path and really understanding how you can take technical capabilities. You know, how did Steve Jobs know to include and insist against the direction of his engineers to have gyrometers and accelerometers? Now there are so many applications that rely on those, but it was having an understanding of the impact of technology paired with a business vision. Doing that maybe in a little more closer to earth, just being able to understand the basic capabilities that you have in the platform you're using, or how to expand that platform and be able to translate that into business requirements. That is an absolute critical skill set. I'm going to close with a favorite quote and a position on the next slide. If you haven't spent much time reading Peter Drucker, I would highly encourage it. I started reading Drucker on the advice of a mentor when I was in college, and over the course of my academic journey and getting into business, I started to have many narratives or internal dialogues with Peter Drucker in my head, having read so much of his stuff and how he shaped my thinking. He's, if you're not familiar, he's essentially the founder of business management theory as a discipline that's distinct from finance or other things, with the notion that management is a core discipline by itself. He first began teaching that, and then was recruited to be the founder of a business school out in California called Claremont. And this is not just shameless name dropping, but I became very enamored with Dr. Drucker and had the opportunity to have a personal relationship with him early in my career. It was very much a student-teacher sort of relationship. It certainly wasn't much of a two-way street. The aspect of it that I helped him was I spent time driving him around, helping him with errands, doing things. He was participating in something else that was business related, but I used that opportunity to really cozy up to him and spend time with him one-on-one. And he said something to me when I was probably not much older than those that are watching this. He said, "I'm glad that I didn't grow up in this time. I'm glad I grew up when I did." And that seemed so unlike him. And I asked him, I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he said, "Now success is an expectation. And if you aren't successful in a grand way, it's deemed a failure. And having that pressure, if I had that, I never would have achieved what I did in my life." And I understood what he meant by that. And he passed away in 2005. I would say in the last 16 years, that has only gotten more pronounced. This notion that everybody's supposed to be successful. But the quote that he offered that's often quoted, but that I particularly like, and the connection to that around predicting the future, which is something that I've tried to make a hallmark of my career, to be able to talk about what's next. And his point was, the best way to predict it is to create it. And it's true now more than any time in my lifetime, and maybe any time in the course of human history, that the patterns of the past, which is how we predict things. When we use machine learning, we're taking things that happened in the past to try and figure out, well, when we use predictive technology, we use things that happened in the past, data from the past, to figure out what happened in the future. The patterns of the future are not the patterns of the past. And those entering the workforce today have that opportunity to create a future that is extraordinary in ways that Peter Drucker couldn't even have seen, in ways that I hopefully will have a chance to witness. So now I think we're going to talk more about Serco, or we're going to do Q&A, but I hand it over either back to Don or over to Colin.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to Colin. I would like to just add that, you heard what I talked about, and you heard what Nathaniel talked about. Stress that we didn't talk about just coding and IT. We talked about thinking and creative thinking and creating the future and understanding the business and understanding what the client needs, because that's really the key to go fast. And fast, right, wrong, or indifferent, speed is what the market desires right now. So and I'm going to pass it over to Colin. So.
Appreciate it, Don. And thank you, Nathaniel, as well. I believe we have a short video for you guys. My name's Colin, by the way. I'm on our talent acquisition team. So I'm going to give you kind of a right circle at a 1,000-foot view and tell you how you can get involved. So go ahead and run the video.
I may hit my technical depths here. Hold on one second.
Best-in-class process to take service delivery from enough to great. We tackle the big, complex problems of our interconnected world in the areas of defense, citizen services, transportation, healthcare, and justice and secure accommodation. With defense services in the areas of ship and shore modernization, hardware integration, personnel readiness, logistics support, and acquisition and program management, we support our nation's military. We diligently deliver critical citizen services through end-to-end case records management solutions. And with experience in running some of the world's most advanced traffic management programs, we deliver in the areas of intelligent transportation systems, aviation, rail, fleet management, and parking. Through integrated healthcare facilities management and care coordination, we provide support services that enable hospitals to deliver non-clinical services more efficiently while improving patient satisfaction. And in the area of justice and secure accommodation, we work with governments to maintain safe communities by way of housing and immigration control services. So whether the assignment is supporting the missions of our nation's military, assisting federal agencies in sharing critical data, or helping citizens travel safely throughout the country, Serco is there.
Awesome. And then So kind of to elaborate a little bit on that, let me give you guys some details on Serco. Again, a 1,000-foot view. We are proud to serve the federal government, not only the federal government, but also state, local agencies, and commercial clients. We have over 3 decades of supporting government clients in North America. We're local to Marymount. Not only that, we are also all across the country. So we're headquartered in Herndon, Virginia, just about 25-30 minutes from Marymount University. We also have large hubs of employees in San Diego, in Boston, Massachusetts, in San Antonio, Colorado Springs. We kind of have a presence all across the country. We did $1.2 billion in revenue last year, and we're continuing to grow. We, in April, acquired a company, Whitney Bradley Brown, which really helped us bolster our intelligence skill sets and capabilities. We have over 9,000 skilled and dedicated professionals, and we have been recognized by Forbes America's Best Employers for 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. As I said before, we're quite large, number 35 of 100 U.S. federal prime contractors by Washington Technology. We were ranked number 41 of top 75 companies survey and ranking by Canadian Defense Review. So we have a diverse client base. Our Department of Defense, federal civilian agencies, the intelligence community, the government Canada, and state and local agencies and commercial clients. So the next slide just kind of gives a general overview of our markets and kind of business lines. So Serco's work can be aligned to 3 key market sectors. Our defense, citizen services, and transportation are our main 3 markets. So our defense market sector, something kind of unique about our work in the defense sector is that we own the end-to-end process for naval design and modernization. From the time the idea is identified with the government through drafting and designing to QA and testing to installation, maintenance, and retirement. We run that whole process, which is kind of unique. A lot of times prime contractors will have just the QA and the testing or just the installation. And so folks find that to be very interesting that we own that whole process and kind of look at it holistically. For our citizen service business unit, our biggest contract, which we've spoke about before, that's Nathaniel's world, is our Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services contract, also known as CMS. We process millions of documents annually through our case management system. We have over 3,000 staff to assist consumers seeking U.S. Federally facilitated healthcare coverage. We implement, again, the technology, the AI technology to aid in processing times of cases and ensure the best experience for our citizens. Another cool example of our transportation business unit and market sector is the local example of our 95 express lanes. I'm sure you guys are familiar. Our Serco employees are the ones in the trucks with the lights on them, ready to respond to citizens that possibly break down or have any issues in the express lane. So next time you're on 95, keep a lookout for the trucks for the Serco employees. Overall, a common theme through all the work that we do is Serco's ability to innovate, think ahead, to better serve the needs of the government and our citizens. Our diverse portfolio of work is really what makes Serco so unique, and I'm confident that you would find your dream job within our organization. So let me tell you a little bit how you can get involved early career. So at Serco, we have a huge focus on early career talent. We ensure to give internship opportunities to those in college, and we have focused resources for those joining us for the first time out of college or maybe their second job through our STEP program, which is our Serco Training and Experience program. The first opportunity under STEP is what we're most known for, and that is our summer internship program. This year, we actually just received recognition as WayUp's top 100 internships in the country. So we're along the likes of Amazon and Ernst & Young. We are very proud of that accreditation. Our internship program runs from May until August. Interns join us for 11 weeks. They work 36 hours a week, half days on Fridays, which is nice, and with varying roles and responsibilities in our organization. They focus on hands-on work experience, projects, are in depth with the work that they're doing. And then outside of the hands-on work experience, they also receive weekly training sessions to help our interns prepare for their full-time career, hopefully with Serco, but if not, we're still preparing them for a full-time career in the future. Over 80% of our interns receive a full-time offer, and it is our #1 focus when working with interns is to find them a career at Serco. So we're also really proud of that conversion number as well. The next opportunity we have is actually brand new to Serco. It's our winter internship program. It is a 1-month program that runs from December to January, and it takes previous summer interns that brings them back together, touches up some skills, and prepares them and gives them some additional experience while they're home for winter. Our next program is our rotational program. Rotational program is a 2-year program. It is our highly selective program for high potential talent. This is for students coming out of college who have really great strengths, really great insights, have a good idea of what they're going to do. However, they're not really sure where they want to land afterwards. So this gives them an opportunity in a 2-year program to try 3 different types of careers. 8 months at a time over the 2-year program, you will have leadership development, coaching on innovation, operational excellence, Lean Six Sigma, and building your skills as a leader. The 3 different careers over 8 months allows you to test the waters in a structured approach, and it's fantastic for someone with strong skills, strong potential, and really just gives them an opportunity to find out where they want to go in their future. The last program is for those joining us in a full-time role. Our full-time resources are there to help you adapt to the working environment fresh out of college. So giving you training on professional skill sets, using Outlook and professional Microsoft tools, giving career development, coaching, and mentoring that are good to be aware of as you enter the workforce. We are also launching a structured mentor program where you will be paired with someone a little bit further along in their career to help guide you and make sure that you are fully equipped to take on this full-time role and to continue to have success in the future. At Serco, we are really proud of all of our early career opportunities. We hope for you guys to join us. These opportunities are here for you to take advantage of and to help prepare you for a lifelong successful career. The last slide we have here is just some information on how you can get in touch with us. If you want full-time IT opportunities, feel free to reach out to myself, Don, or Nathaniel. And then for internships, the rotational program, you can also reach out to me. We'll make sure that you guys get this contact information following this presentation. So I guess now we'll open the floor for Q&A for either the initial IT portion or the kind of getting involved in our programs and opportunities. I see we open the floor for questions. I see someone has a hand up. Wafa, would you like to chat in the question? I see the question just came in. So our internship opportunities currently are in the summer. So we do not have any plans at the moment for fall 2022 internship opportunities. But I would certainly go to our career site. What I would suggest is go to our career site and join our talent community. There is an internships section. You'll fill out some information, personal information, what types of roles you're interested in under the job category section. And if you hold control and you can click multiple, there is an internships section. And that's a great way to kind of be in the know about our new internship opportunities and programs. Again, as of now, we don't have anything slated for fall of 2022, but that could always change. And joining our talent community under the internships job category is a great way to kind of stay in the know.
So I guess if there's no more questions, we can turn it back to Emily and Van.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Well, we just wanted to say, Don, Colin, Nathaniel, we're really grateful for your time and for sharing with us your expertise on the industry that serves. With that, you do have everyone's contact information. For Marymount students, you have everyone's contact information here. We will be making this recording available and sending it out to all participants. And so I just want to thank you again for your time and look forward to future presentations that we'll be having in the spring semester. So Marymount students, be on the lookout for more. Have a great day.
Thank you, Emily. And thanks for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. Thank you.